Hello beautiful people, and welcome to Sewing with Damara. In this tutorial we'll be learning how to make this beautiful underbust corset dress with a Basque waistline. This was a request tutorial from one of you on my Instagram, so if you would love to learn how to go about the making of this, you would want to stick with me to the end of this tutorial. If you love sewing tutorials like this, make sure to hit on your subscribe button if you haven't, and turn on your post notifications to get notified whenever I post a new tutorial. For this tutorial, you'll be needing 3 yards of Ankara print, and for the upper part of the dress, you'll be needing about 1 to 1.5 yards of crepe fabric. For the sleeves, you'll be needing about 1 yard of lace. You'll also be needing boning, and for the boning with me here, I have the Regina boning and the plastic boning. This depends on your boning of choice. This is what the plastic boning looks like, and this is what the Regina boning looks like. To jot out the pattern, from the top of your pattern paper, come down by about 0.5 inch and rule a straight line across. Now this line is going to serve as your shoulder line, okay? Place your tape there at the shoulder line, and you're going to mark down your shoulder to your bust point. Mine is 11 inches. Next is your shoulder to underbust. Mine is 15 inches. The next measurement you will mark is the shoulder to the waist measurement. Now I need you to note that the shoulder to waist measurement in front is longer than that of the back, so you can go ahead and take your shoulder to waist measurement in front and back separately, or if you have your shoulder to waist measurement in front, don't worry, I'm going to show you later in the tutorial how to go about that of the back. My shoulder to waist measurement in front is 18 inches. I'll make sure to mark all these measurements on the other side of my pattern paper and connect this with a straight line. From the waistline, come down by about 6 inches. This is going to be for the Basque waistline effect. Just for more clarity, this right here is the shoulder line, the bust point, the underbust, the waistline, and the back's length. This here is going to be the center front where we'll be taking all our measurement from, and this is the side front. On this shoulder line, mark 3 inches as your neck width. We will not be drawing out our neckline now, we'll be doing it much later. Also on this line, mark half of your shoulder measurement. Come down from that point by 1 inch and connect this with a straight line into the neck width to get your shoulder slope. For the chest line, divide your bust by 6 and add 1.5 to whatever you get. The formula is going to be somewhere on the screen. And while marking your measurement, make sure you're marking it from the shoulder slope as I'm doing here. Connect this with a straight line, and this right here is going to be your chest line. On this chest line now, mark half of your shoulder measurement. This is to enable you to get a straight line into the shoulder slope. So you see how I did that. Divide what you have from the shoulder slope to the chest line by 2, like I'm doing here. Mark the midpoint. Come in from that point by 0.5 inch. On the chest line, you are going to mark quarter of your bust measurement, which is your bust divided by 4. You'll be connecting all these points together to get your armhole curve. Creating a V neckline, and to do that, on this shoulder line, mark 3.5 inch as your neck width. You can also use 3 inches if that is what you want to use. Come down from that point by about 8 inches as your neck depth. You can also use 7 inches here. Using your curve, you're going to connect these 2 points together to give you a slight curvy V neckline. Mark half of your nipple to nipple measurement on the bust point and on the back's length. For me, it's 4 inches, and connect this with a straight line. To take out your darts, coming to the waistline, come out on both sides of this line by 0.5 inch. You'll be connecting this back to the bust point and back into the back's length. To take out the shoulder dart, you're going to take what you have on your shoulder slope here, just like I'm doing, and divide that into 2. Connect that into the bust point. I'll just be outlining my shoulder slope so you guys can see that clearly. Now, because of the kind of bustier we are creating, we'll be taking out darts on the underbust to help us create the kind of structure and fitting we need for this underbust corset. What we'll be doing here is to take out an extra of 1.5 inch dart on the underbust. Divide this 1.5 inch by 2, and it's going to give you 0.75 inch. So from this point here, mark 0.75 inch on this side, and also mark 0.75 inch on this other side here. Using your curve, you'll be connecting this from the underbust into the bust point, just like I'm doing here. Watch how I'm doing this so you can do the same thing on your pattern paper. After doing that, you'll be connecting from this point here on the underbust to the back's length. Just connect a straight line down on both sides. The next thing you're going to do here is to take your round body measurement. So coming to the chest line, we already have quarter of our bust measurement there, right? You'll be adding your stitching allowance. For me, I'll be using 1.5 inch. Mark the same thing you have on the chest line on the bust point. We will not be marking anything on the under bust. Coming to the waistline, mark quarter of your waist measurement on the waistline. You'll be replacing what you have in between your darts here. So for me, I have about 2.25 inches. I'm going to replace that and add my stitching allowance. On the bust length, also mark quarter of your hip line measurement. Replace what you have in between your darts and add your stitching allowance. Now go ahead and connect all these points together to get your body shape, just like you see me doing here. The next thing we'll be doing now is to create our cups. Okay, now from the underbust, come up by 2 inches. Now this totally depends on how deep you want your underbust to be. You can use 2.5 to 3 inches depending on your preference. Now using your curve, you're going to place it this way. You'll be connecting a curve from the underbust into that point that you marked. Also using your curve, you're going to place it this way on this other side, and you'll be connecting a curve from the underbust into the side. The next thing you're going to do is to take out a bust dart. Remember that I said the shoulder to waist in front is longer than that of the back. Now my shoulder to waist in front is 18 inches and that of the back is 16.5. So I'm going to say 18 minus 16.5. This is going to give me 1.5 inch. Now 1.5 inch is the standard. You can go ahead and also use 1.5 inch if you don't know the difference between your front and your back waistline. And then from the side, you're going to come down by 1.5 inch and connect this back into the bust point. Be shading this part because we are going to be closing up this side here. Now coming to this shoulder area, you are going to slash this part open all the way into the bust point. Make sure you don't get exactly to the bust point, just almost to the bust point, okay? And coming to the side, you are going to open up this bust point here. First of all, make sure that you extend this bust dart into the pattern paper. And then go ahead and open up the bust point all the way into this part here. Make sure you don't get exactly to the bust point, just almost, so you don't cut out your pattern paper, okay? Now what you'll be doing here is to simply close up the dart, and then you are going to tape this down. So using my tape, you can see how I'm doing that. You are going to close up this dart here. If you'd notice, this line here is no longer aligning at the side. So using your rule or the curve side, you are just going to blend this out like I'm doing here. I'll just be outlining my armhole curve. Now coming to this shoulder area here, you'll be taking out 0.25 inch on both sides of this place. This is to help you to get a better fitting at the shoulder area and to prevent gaping. Now connect a straight line from this point into the bust point. To get your Basque waistline, firstly you are going to close in your darts like this. Make sure you close in your darts just like I'm doing here. Now using your rule, you are going to connect a straight line from the waistline into the back length. So opening that up, they look a little quite different, but you need to do it like this. As you can see here, this is what is going to help to give you a straight line, okay? So yeah, that is it for the front pattern. I'll just be labeling this my cup 1, which will be attached this way. This is my cup 2, which will be attached this way. I'll just label this the S1 and the S2. Now go ahead and cut this out just like you see me doing here. Oopsie, so you guys, I almost forgot. Let's just pretend I haven't started cutting this out here because I've put this back together. So let's pretend we haven't started cutting this out, okay? Remember that we opened up this part here. So currently you have a space at this center, at this chest line here. There's a space. You need to take what you have in between this space here. For me, I have 0.5 inch. You are going to replace what you have in between here on the side of the chest line, just like I'm doing here. I extend my armhole into that point and then blend it back into the bust point like this. So go ahead and finish cutting out your pattern paper just like I'm doing here. After cutting this out, this is the cup for the upper part and this here is the underbust part. Now I'll be joining this part together because I do not want to have to cut it separately on my fabric and reattach it later. So I'll be placing this side by side this way and I'll just be taping it down to make it one. After doing that, I'll be cutting this out on my fabric. Here I have my fabric on fold and I also have my lining right underneath on fold, so I can cut them out together. Now for this center front here, you can decide to cut it on fold, or you can decide to cut it out separately to attach it later. I'll be cutting mine out separately, so I won't be placing this on the folded edge of my fabric. I'm going to shift away by about 0.5 inch, okay? And I'm going to pin this down. I'll also be pinning down this other side of the cup. Now for this bottom part, we are going to have to cut this on fold, so make sure that you place it at the folded side of your fabric and pin this down. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. I won't be boring you guys with the cutting part, so I'm just going to cut this out of the camera. After cutting this out, you can see what I have here. To this cup here, I added ½ inch all the way around. To this one, I added ½ inch all the way around aside from the side and the armhole. For this down part, I added ½ inch to this area and ½ inch down here. Now go ahead and iron interfacing on each of the pieces that you cut out here. Now to cut out the back piece, we'll just be doing almost the same thing for the front, but first we are going to mark out our zipper allowance. So for the zipper allowance, I'll be using 1.5 inch. I'm going to mark it all the way across and connect with a straight line. I'm also going to come down from this part by about 0.5 inch and connect with a straight line. This line here is going to serve as our starting line, which is also going to be the shoulder line. Now from here, I'm going to mark 3 inches. We are not drawing out our neckline now. We are also going to be marking half of our shoulder measurement on this line here. From that point, come down by 1 inch and connect into your neck width to get your shoulder slope. Now for the neckline, I'm going to mark 3.5 inches as the neck width, and I'll be coming down by 6 inches as the neck depth because I want to use a V neckline just like I did in front, and I'll connect this together by a slight curve to get a curvy V neckline. For the chest line, make sure you place your tape there at the shoulder slope and mark your chest line measurement. Connect this with a straight line. So this here is my chest line and this is my shoulder line. On the chest line, also mark half of your shoulder measurement so it will enable you to get a straight line into the shoulder slope. Divide what you have from the shoulder slope to the chest line by 2, coming from that point by 0.5 inch. On the chest line, mark quarter of your bust measurement. Now connect all these points together to get your armhole curve just like we did in front. For the waistline, place your tape there as the shoulder line, and remember we said the shoulder to waist in front is shorter than that of the back, so whatever you have for your shoulder to waist in front, just take out 1.5 inch. Taking out 1.5 inch, I'll be marking this as 16.5. This here is my waistline. Make sure to extend it into the zipper allowance, okay? From this waistline, go down by 1 inch to mark your allowance line. Now on the chest line, mark half of your nipple to nipple measurements and mark the same thing on your allowance line and connect this with a straight line. On the allowance line, go out on both sides of this line by 0.5 inch and connect it back into the chest line. To take our round body measurements, we already marked quarter of our bust measurement on this chest line, right? So just go ahead and add your stitching allowance. For me, I'll be using 1.5 inch. Coming to the waistline, mark quarter of your waist measurement. You'll be taking what you have in between your dots there. For me, it is 1 inch, and you are going to replace it there and add your stitching allowance. Now you'll be marking the same thing you have on your waistline, also on your allowance line. Go ahead and connect all these points together to give you your body shape like I'm doing here. I'll just be outlining all these other points. Now the next thing we are going to be doing here is what we call a zipper tightening to reduce zipper bulge. From this side on the waistline, you're going to go in by 0.5 inch and also go in by 0.5 inch after the zipper allowance here. You'll be connecting this upward this way, and you also connect from that other point there upward. I changed my mind and I decided to use 7 inches for my neck depth, so I'm going to be changing my neck depth to 7 inches and I will reconnect that to my neck width. Make sure to extend this into your zipper allowance like so. Cancelling this line here because we'll no longer be using this. Go ahead and label this your zipper allowance. So we are done drafting out the back pattern. Go ahead and cut this out like you see me doing here. Place your back pattern on your fabric. I have my fabric and my lining here on fold. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out off camera. Now after cutting this out, you can see that I added 0.5 inch stitching allowance to the shoulder area and to the neckline. Now go ahead and iron interfacing also to your back piece. I've ironed interfacing to my back piece, but I only ironed this on the lining because I didn't want to iron it both on the lining and on the main fabric. I only did that on the front piece, and as you can see my front piece here, I've also gone ahead to iron my interfacing on all the pieces just like I said earlier. We'll be stopping here for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, I'll be showing you guys how to stitch all these pieces together to get the beautiful dress like you saw at the beginning of this tutorial. We have come to the end of this tutorial. I hope this tutorial was really helpful. Please do let me know in the comment section. If you have any questions, you can also leave it there in the comment section and I'll be attending to it. Make sure to hit on the like button so that this tutorial can get to as many people just like it got to you. Make sure to share this to family and friends who you think would be interested in this kind of tutorial. Also turn on your post notification to know when the next tutorial is going to be out. I'll see you guys in my next one.